It is December 2024, and if you're anything like me, you may have started this year with a lot of goals, and now it's December and you realize that you haven't done everything that you wanted to do. And this can bring up a lot of different emotions, and for me, it certainly has, and I wanted to share with you some things that have been helpful for me in navigating some feelings that can come up when you realize that you haven't done everything that you wanted this year. So, like a lot of things in life, I think it's very important how we view things. It's very important to have the right mindset about your goals and also your progress towards your goals. When we go into the new year, we can, set these very ambitious goals. We're very positive and there's so much optimism going to the new year. We make New Year's resolutions, and then when it comes to December, you realize, wow, this didn't happen for me at all. And I think that when that happens, it can make you feel really disappointed. It can make you feel really sad. You can start being very hard on yourself and very self-critical. And I know this because I have been there before, and I realize, over the years that the way that I view myself in these moments makes such a huge difference in terms of how I move forward. It can literally just make moving forward feel like such a drain and such a challenge, or you can view this in a way that is much more expansive and really propels you forward. I want to talk about goals. We hear a lot about the idea of SMART goals, setting something that is more quantifiable, for example, and setting something that is much more easier for us to measure. It's quantitative, it feels more tangible. But I also think it brings in this bigger conversation about relying so much on external factors in order to judge our own self-worth, in order to judge how successful we are, in order to judge how much progress that we've made. And even the way that people talk about setting these goals, I think that I can understand why people would want to make these very quantifiable goals and have these milestones for themselves. But I think that if you only rely on these quantitative goals and these metrics that we need to hit, it can be detrimental to our own well-being when we don't hit these certain numbers. And also, I don't think it fully captures the growth that we've had as individuals and the whole bigger journey that we are on, depending on what your goals are. I'm somebody who likes to ground things with an example, so I'll use myself here and share that when I was younger, I was someone who was very driven. I've been driven for a very long time. I still consider myself to be a very ambitious person, but I think when I was younger, I was very much more focused on external validation and external factors that made me feel like I was worthy and successful. I think back in the day, I was somebody who really focused very much on getting the top grades in my class and, being the best academically. I wanted to get straight A's. I, wanted to get into one of the best schools. And then eventually, once I graduated, I wanted to work at the top companies. There is something to be said about really wanting the best for yourself. I think there's something to be said about wanting nice things and quality experiences. I think that's fair and valid too. But I think that what happened through that experience was it got me really conditioned into looking at external factors in order to define how successful and worthy and valuable I was, how worthy of attention and love and approval. I realized how potentially damaging that can be. And I think over the past couple of years, spent quite an amount of time really trying to unlearn that conditioning and expand my own definition of what it means to be successful. And I share this because when we think about goal setting and we think about New Year's resolutions, and maybe it's to gain a certain amount of muscle, or if you're a content creator, a certain number of subscribers, or if you're a business owner, maybe it's getting a certain number of sales. It can just feel like it's always about the next big thing. It's always about reaching these milestones, and these milestones can be really amazing and definitely make you feel that sense of accomplishment. I think it's fair to be able to feel that the level of satisfaction in that, especially if you worked really hard for it. However, I think when you put too much emphasis on just reaching certain milestones in order to feel this sense of success, from my own personal experience, I think it can just put a ton of pressure on yourself. And also, I think it can make the journey feel way less enjoyable. I think what I've learned in my own journey is that Yes, I think it's great to, want to have goals for yourself, including these more quantitative goals or goals that can be very tangible to see whether you've done it or not. If you expand your own definition of what success means, and it's not just about these external cues of what success is usually seen as, and you view it as, did I, learn to be more patient? Did I learn to be more understanding? Did I cultivate more discipline in myself? And you expand your own definition of progress, I feel like it makes the journey not only more enjoyable, but it also lets you feel like you're winning more often than just like waiting for this bigger milestone and then finally you feel accomplished. So in terms of this year and the way that you're evaluating yourself, if you're just evaluating yourself in terms of, whether or not you hit that big milestone or you reached a certain number in your own journey, whatever that number might mean for you, then of course, it can feel incredibly disappointing when you didn't hit that certain milestone or number this year. But if you expand your own view on goals and the journey of it all, and you recognize that, yeah, maybe you didn't hit that milestone or get that number this year, but there are probably other things that you did that will help you to reach that milestone eventually, that will contribute to the bigger vision that you have for yourself. Personally, I realized that, there were certain numeric milestones that I may not have hit this year for myself in my own journey as a content creator, as an entrepreneur even, but I recognize that this year I feel like was so important for me to lay the groundwork and the foundation for the years to come. I've made so many important personal shifts in my own life this year, from even just starting my business in general to starting to post more content online, to being more authentic and, real online, which, for me, I know given my background has been a very huge win and feat for me. So I know that, to the outside world, if you're just viewing it on these external metrics or, this external factors, it might not seem like very much. But I think for me, I know how important and valuable this year has been for me. So I realize that when I view this year and I look back at it, there's many ways to look at it. If I'm just purely basing it off of the numbers, then, I could easily let myself really wallow in not hitting like certain milestones. When I expand my own definition and realize that, I have done so much this year and I've made a lot of progress, then I feel so much better about where I am right now. Maybe you look at this year and you feel like you just haven't made any progress at all on the things that really matter to you. And if that's the case, then I think that feeling that you feel right now is also still very important, because clearly that goal matters to you because of the feelings that you feel right now, whether that be disappointment or frustration, or maybe you might even feel angry at yourself. Oftentimes you might feel inclined to just push those feelings away, but I actually encourage you to let yourself sit with that emotion, or maybe it's many emotions that you're feeling right now, and just allow yourself to be with that and see what comes out of it, because I think these emotions are probably coming up for a reason, and they can be very revealing if you let them be. And I encourage you to really just assess, what do I think these feelings are trying to tell me? What is the message? What is the wisdom that is here for me in these emotions? You might hear this and you might think, okay, well, that sounds really good. I know it's not all about the numbers. I know it's not all about the milestones, but what if I really wanted to hit a certain milestone this year and I know I didn't get it? It's so clear and easy for me to see that. What do I do then? And if that is the case, then I would encourage you to, again, get really clear on what it is that you didn't do this year. And I say this because first, in order to solve any problem, you need to understand what the problem actually is. And in order to do that, you need to get clear on what it is that you actually really are wanting to achieve in your life. I say this also because a lot of people might feel these feelings of frustration, disappointment, stress during this time of year, but they're not even exactly sure why. They know it might be because of their goals that they set earlier for themselves or the expectations that they had for themselves this year, but they don't fully understand the root cause of what's going on. So I encourage you to journal, or if you want to go for a walk or a run, whatever it is for you, to really take that time to understand what is really underneath the emotions that I'm feeling. If you're feeling disappointed about something, what is it? Just to give you an example, there were years ago when I wasn't posting as much on YouTube. And I remember feeling really frustrated with myself that I wasn't posting as much. And when I really got to the root of what was going on, I just knew that like one of the things I could do to solve that for myself was just post a video, right? And I knew that, not posting made me feel frustrated with myself because I think it was, I really wanted to post these videos and I wanted to put myself more out there. So it was that internal struggle that I felt for quite some time before I finally just did the action. So for you, I would encourage you to figure out what that is. What is the action that you need to take? And then I would encourage you to think about, why didn't it happen for you this year? Because whenever we have a goal, whatever that might be, it's not just about accomplishing the goal, right? It's like not just about the milestone. Like let's say you want to become a runner and you are somebody who has barely ever run in your life, but it is possible to become a runner. There are so many runners around the world, right? But in order to become the runner, you need to take a certain number of action steps in order to get there. And so for you, you have to understand, okay, what is it do you want? So in this case, maybe it is to be a runner. And then ask yourself, okay, like what prevented me from doing that this year? Maybe it was the fact that you didn't have a gym membership. Maybe it was because you didn't feel like you had places that you wanted to go running in. Maybe you feel like you don't have the right clothing to go run in. Like whatever it is for you, just think about the reasons why it didn't happen for you this year. And then the last thing I would encourage you to think about is to really think, okay, now that I have the list of reasons why I know it didn't happen for me this year, what can I do next year that will solve these problems? Because pretty much I would imagine for every single one of those reasons, there is going to be a way to solve those problems, right? And there's going to be a way to actually overcome those obstacles that you're facing right now. And I'm not going to say that it's going to always be easy. There might be times where you have to really push yourself to do something, but clearly, like there is a method to success and there is a method to whatever it is you want to accomplish. I also want to touch on the idea of comparison because that can happen a lot this time of year. People are posting their end of the year wrap up and they're posting photos of places that they've traveled or posting like big milestones that they've hit this year. You can just see people's highlights and accomplishments just thrown at you regularly, and it can feel really defeating if you know that you haven't done everything that you personally wanted to do this year. So I wanted to touch on this idea. It's very important. And I also want to share this because even recently, I know that I didn't hit everything that I wanted to do this year. And it's hard when you're in that mind space and you haven't maybe done all the reflection, right, that I mentioned to you earlier. And you look at some of these individuals who have maybe made progress, not just on their goals, but maybe they have the same type of goals that you do. And so you might be on social media or you hear about these individuals and it just can make you feel really frustrated with yourself because you know that that's something that you wanted to do. So I wanted to share like how I navigated through that. And I think for me, the way that I approach this is clearly I care about this because it's triggering some sort of emotion in me. And it's not even so much about the individual themselves. It's more so what this accomplishment represents. And I realize that it's kind of like I'm staring at my own potential. And that can be really triggering if I haven't done the self-work to really realize like what I can do about this gap between where I am right now and who I want to be. Ultimately, it comes down to realizing that this is an opportunity for me to realize that I know I'm not where I want to be and having that honesty with myself, but also using this as motivation and fuel so that I can continue on my own path and do the things that I need to do to accomplish what I want to accomplish. Instead of just letting that trigger get to me and make me feel worse about myself or, start to project on that other person, I realize it's more so about me and where am I at right now. So I wanted to share that in case you might be feeling some of those feelings and seeing people's highlight reels or seeing somebody else who's, successful and you might be feeling all the feels too. So I hope that helps. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and thank you for watching.